Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, there is an argument, pro and for, about the decriminalisation of possession of controlled substances. We'll put it that way. Can't see the D word too early in a video. And I can see the argument both ways about if it's tiny amounts, single use, one person, one hit. Just don't go into it. It's not worth the bother from the policeman's point of view. I get that. And I can almost understand it, but there is a divide. And what's interesting is that this divide seems to go down party lines. And it seems to be that people who are Skexit supporters, want independence, are pro-SNP, basically want it decriminalised. People who are unionist kind of want it to maintain as being criminalised. I say I'm somewhat in the middle. If it's a tiny one use, policeman comes on, finds it or whatever. Look, he just takes it from you, sends you on your way. It's not worth the paperwork for one hit. But there are arguments on both sides. But it's funny that the argument goes down that way. If you're pro-SNP, you're all for decriminalising it. And if you're not, you're not. And I think that actually tells you something quite substantial, more than perhaps is realised. Because it's always struck me that you've got to be off your trolley to vote for the SNP. And now I think we've got final clinching proof that they are. Anyway, we'll take a quick look at this. It's only a bit of fun. I'm not going to get into it. It's not a heavy subject. But it's just something that struck me as a bit odd. Anyway, here goes. So, Skexit supporters want these products decriminalised in Scotland, while no voters are heavily against. And it's, there is arguments both ways. I think we can both agree, or everyone can agree, that there's arguments both sides. But it is just a funny little subject, isn't it? I think, like I say, single use, one-off, policeman finds it, just takes it from you, kicks you out. Not worth the paperwork, not worth dragging you back, arresting you and doing all that. What? For like a little bit of doobie or something? Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Anyway, the Scottish Government have urged Westminster to devolve some laws to allow them to not prosecute people for using the likes of doobie, blow, H and Charlie. Because again, you can't say the words. YouTube rulings, they're very, very strict on certain things. Can't even show that paraphernalia, technically. Anyway, a huge split in Scottish public opinion has formed about SNP plans to decriminalise these products across the country, and it is along constitutional lines. The Scottish Government has pleaded with Westminster to devolve these powers to make it legal to take these illicit substances for personal use. Now, I disagree with making it legal. I'm just talking about decriminalising it. There is a difference. Keep it illegal to use, but possession of a tiny amount doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a criminal record. Maybe repeated use, yes, but let's not tie up the policeman unnecessarily. Anyway, the calls have been rebuffed by Rishi Sunak, who also believes that the planned safe usage rooms, consumption rooms, will not help lower these deaths north of the border. And I've got a video, and I'm probably going to do it tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to get it out today, but there's more on that on a video probably tomorrow. So do hit the subscribe button and don't miss that. Anyway, Scotland is the death capital, the substance abuse death capital of Europe again this year. And the latest figures show that 1,051 people have died from doing it. No surprise, is it? If I had to deal with some of the things that were going on, I don't know if I would want to be out of my head or not. Probably dealing with the SNP. Ooh. Anyway, according to polling done by Savanta for the Scottish Sun, independent supporters want to decriminalise illegal substances, while pro-UK Scots believe the opposite. It's very, very weird that it's along party lines, isn't it? But like I say, I think it's because most SNP voters are off their trolleys most of the time. The plan proposed by the SNP would see people caught with the likes of H or C Coca-Cola not being prosecuted. The research found that 67% of would-be yes voters backed the idea, compared with just 22% of potential no voters. And the surveys asked whether people support or oppose the Scottish Government's proposals, which were also backed by MSPs last month. Well, what do we think? I mean, this is one, I'm genuinely interested in this one. In the comments, are you pro or against? And do explain. I mean, if you're against it in total, fine, just say why. And if you're pro a little bit or pro a lot, whatever, just put it there. I think it'd be interesting to see generally what the consensus is. Like I say, I'm not all for certainly dealers. No, do them all that. And if someone who says it's for personal use but actually has a bit more than you'd think was personal use, definitely nick them. I'm not saying that. Anything to like along those lines. But it depends on what it is and how much they have on it. But yeah, you can't. Where do you draw the line? It's really hard. Given how many people sort of even occasionally will smoke a reefer or something. I'm showing my age. Reefers, good lord, man. But you know what I mean. I can't use the actual terms. We have to use other terms. I have to use old school terms. But anyone who smokes these things, there's probably a million. You can't make everyone. You can't give every single person in Scotland a bloody criminal conviction, can you? Anyway, a total of 67% of pro-Skexit backers were in favour, compared to 16% against, and 17% didn't know. In terms of unionists, only 22% backed the plans, with 61% against, and again 17% choosing don't know. Seems to be consistent, regardless of the side of the divide. There, 17% just don't know. Anyway, there was also a big generational split about the contentious topic. That will not surprise me, I reckon. And I don't know the results. I'm going to just say younger people more in favour. In the 16 to 34 age group, 63% were in favour and 16% against, with just 27% of over 55s in favour and 52% against. See, I knew that would be the case. Young people tend to not care so much, but that's because young people possibly haven't seen some of the nastier side of usage over the years. Anyway, the Scottish Tories urged the SNP executive to drop their plans for decriminalisation, instead focus on the recovery aspects of the issue. Justice spokesman Russell Findlay said, decriminalising substances like H and C Coca-Cola will increase drugs on our streets and put more lives at risk. Hamza Yousaf should back the Right to Recovery Bill instead of using Scotland's death crisis to pick constitutional fights. He would fight with anything if he thought there was an independence aspect to it. He'd bring in beard tax if he thought he could get away with it, not only to raise money, but because it'd be different from England. Because then he'd say, oh, well, we need this now, and England are holding us back. And it's that. It is simply that. Anyway, evidence from other countries was utilised by the government to claim that decriminalising them for personal use would help support people rather than criminalise and stigmatise them. But critics pointed to the huge issues in Portland in the USA, where the same rules are brought in and the whole city is grinding to a halt. Last year, the state experienced one of the sharpest rises in overall deaths throughout America, and had one of the highest percentage of adults with substance use disorders. During one 2-week period earlier this year, 3 children under the age of 4 OD'd after ingesting fentanyl. This is what happens when you legalise it. And Portugal's the same. Portugal tried it as a little experiment. Whoa, they actually reversed it. It's so bad in Portugal. Anyway, SNP Substance and Alcohol Minister Eleanor Whittam, I think she must use an awful lot of them herself, claimed that this could help with Scotland's own crisis, despite the rate being far higher than the rest of the UK with the same rules in place. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with whether it's legal or not. It's got everything to do with living in Scotland. And she said, as we now an aside, and again, I think it's possibly a cultural thing. Scotland has, shall we say, an alcohol. Always had like a high alcohol intake, same as Ireland. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ireland's the same. Wales predominantly very low, but an awful lot of Methodists in Wales, aren't there? But anyway, Scotland and Ireland always had these big alcohol intakes. But with Scotland, with the price of alcohol being artificially increased so high, it's actually cheaper to get these products on the street corner than it is to go into a shop and buy like a litre of whiskey or something, or a 6-pack of strong cider or something like that. And I think that is partly why the use is so high. I think it's that sort of cultural of high drinking has now been suspended, and they're going into other substances because the alcohol has been pushed to unaffordable levels. And I think that's probably what it is. But anyway, she went on, Eleanor Whittam, claimed the problematic use should be treated as a health, not a criminal matter. Again, I can see the argument to that. Not necessarily sure I agree with that argument, but anyway. She said, as we highlighted in our proposals, the UK government could do more to work with us to help introduce harm reduction measures. Easy, lower the price of alcohol, and amend the Misuse of Substances Act, or devolve the necessary powers for us to do so. Lord Advocate Dorothy Bain has said she would not prosecute Scots using consumption rooms, with the first of these opening in Glasgow. You just have to wonder how bad it's going to get. But anyway, we should wait and see on that. The jury's out, but when the first sort of results come in about those consumption rooms, I'm not sure it will make much of a difference, to be honest. We shall see. It may even make things worse. I think we discussed that before, where it may actually encourage people. But hey, what do I know? The only substance I abuse is red wine. Anyway, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to come up. Now, of course, it's already technically decriminalised, because as you just heard there, Dorothy Bain saying she's just not going to prosecute. So that's effectively, even though not officially and not on the books as being decriminalised, it is effectively decriminalised. What are they? What's that? What's the term? It's not de jure decriminalised, but it is de facto decriminalised. And so you just got to wait and see what's going to happen. But it's got to be addressed. It's a massive problem. But you've got to look to why they are using so much of these products. I firmly believe it's because the price of alcohol has gone through the roof, because the use of the substances has increased rapidly at the same time as alcohol prices have gone up. The two, I think, are related. Now, of course, correlation is not causality. It may not be the case. It may just be coincidence. But it does seem, should we say, probable, if not actual, but certainly probable. May need someone better vested in such things to investigate than I. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. And if you are using, just be careful. Bye.